All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me today. I have two things for you today. Before we get into the flip chart presentation, I want to share with you to stay tuned until the end of this video. I have a very special announcement that I want to share with you that I think is going to add a lot of value to your world, to your life. So I wanted to do things a little differently. I wanted to, so to speak, get out from behind the computer and actually do this flip chart presentation. The video is about preparing for the next crisis. We know there's going to be something that's going to hit us. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know what it's going to be or how bad it's going to be. I wanted to put this together specifically because I do real estate consulting with folks, try to help them figure out how they want to strategize for real estate investments, what to purchase and whatnot. And one of the questions that typically comes up is, what am I doing to prepare for the next crisis? I thought that was an important question that I was seeing over and over again. And so I said, I want to share this with folks. So hopefully you get some value out of this. I look at it in 3 steps to be able to protect my personal and financial freedom should a crisis occur, right? I kind of look at it as if I was to throw a stone into a pond, it's going to create a ripple. And I look at 3 ripples in particular. The first ripple that is closest to me, that would probably come in the form of like a crisis, like we've seen, like the pandemic, right? Something where the economy shut down for a certain period of time. So this might look like the pandemic, or cyber threat to our banking system, and say our banking system shuts down for a month or a certain amount of time. This could fall into that category as well. So maybe like a cyber threat. Okay, so in this first ripple that's closest to me, I take a look at it, and this is actually what I'm doing. It's just answering the question, Tony, what are you doing to protect yourself in this crazy environment, this crazy world that we're living in? I look at this as my 6-month plan. What I mean by that is, if I need to hunker down for 6 months, what do I need to be able to survive? Obviously, food and water. I have those items stacked up on a shelf in my house. I've gone through that inventory and said, will this last me 6 months? And where I fall short, I beef that up. The other thing I have is fuel. And so I have several 5-gallon tanks of gas that I store. You probably remember the 1970s where the cars were all waiting at the gas stations, waiting to fill up their tanks. I don't want to be in that situation, right? And I certainly don't ever want to be in the situation where we go into a lockdown for a pandemic, or we experience some sort of cyber threat, we're in some sort of a lockdown. I don't ever want to be caught off guard. So that's why I want 6 months of food, water, and fuel so that I can continue operating as normal. The other thing I want is cash. I need a certain amount of cash on hand, because if the banking system does shut down and I do need to go buy some groceries or provisions, whatever it is, and I can't use my credit card or my bank card, cash will probably be the only option at that point, right? So I want to be able to have some cash available to me to be able to support myself there. One of the other things we're putting in place is a garden. And you'll see, I mention it here because you're going to see how this ripples through my plan. A couple of years back, we started a small garden. It's 8 feet by 16 feet. We started pretty much trial and error in our climate with our type of soil, what's going to grow well, what doesn't, and we've kind of figured that out. And so that gives us the starting basis to be able to have some fresh, vegetables on the table, and things we wouldn't have to buy if we ended up in some sort of crisis. We would just have that in our backyard, so to speak, right? Or it would end up getting canned, frozen, or we end up saving some of that we overproduce. That's a 6-month plan to be able to kind of insulate myself from any craziness that happens in the world. But after that, say we have something deeper. Say it's something like a recession, right? Say we get hit with a recession. I don't want to be planning for that when the news is talking about a recession happening. By then, it's too late. I want to be planning for that recession today. And so what are the things I'm putting in place? One of them is what I call multiple income streams. So for me, what does that look like as far as what I'm doing today? Well, for me, I have my real estate. I'm writing a couple of books. I'm working on securing some speaking gigs, right? And I'm always looking at real estate, right, to be able to add to the portfolio, so to speak. In this tight labor economy, employers are paying higher wages than they have ever paid before. And they're also offering bonuses. If somebody has extra hours during the week, or want to put in, 10 hours over the weekend working a second job, that might be a great option for a second income stream for you. And now you have that cash on hand as a safety net should you need it during a recession, right? For the future, if you happen to lose your job, you have that extra money, that extra cash available to you, right? The time to act on that is now, not when a recession hits. Multiple income streams is something I'm doing today to insulate myself from a potential future recession. I also continue to grow my cash holdings to a certain extent, right? Because we all know what happens during a recession. Typically your stocks are going to go down, and also real estate is going to go down. If I'm in a good cash position here and also built up a cash position, for my 6-month plan, right? That's a great opportunity, potential opportunity to be able to, so to speak, buy the dip in investing in stocks or real estate. What we're also doing is expanding the garden. I mentioned that's going to be a theme here. And so what we're doing is we found what didn't work and what does work with the garden. And so we're taking what does work and we're multiplying that, right? We're going to double, if not triple, the size of our garden this year, plant more of the stuff that had a good harvest the previous year. So for us, that's going to be potatoes, right? That's a staple in our diet. So that's something we're going to grow more of, right? To be able to have. And then also what we're doing is making sure we have a healthy gold and silver position, right? And so whatever that means to you, I look at it as an opportunity. Should I run out of cash, I can convert my gold and silver to cash, right? It's just another investment that typically holds its value, and it gives me, that opportunity, right? Should an opportunity arise to invest in stocks or real estate during the recession? Okay, so those are some things I'm doing. Should a recession hit our doorstep, I want to be positioned in those ways. Now we get to the third ripple here, which would end up being like a depression, right? It's kind of like a 1929 depression. We don't like to think about it. We don't like to talk about it, but we need to prepare for that. What does that look like for us? For me, one of the main things I'm working on is I'm working on my second citizenship, right? My parents, both of them were immigrants. I stand a very good chance to be able to get a second citizenship via descent. You can't apply for that and expect to receive it the next day. I've actually been working on mine for close to 2 years now, okay? And it should be a relatively easy slam dunk, but working with some of these foreign countries and consulates, it does take time. So one of the things I'm doing is my second citizenship, right? So that gives me the ability, should we here in the US have such a deep depression, granted, that could also be going on overseas in other countries, but now I have an option to be able to potentially go to another country where my quality of life may be somewhat better than if I stuck it out here. I just want to be able to have that option to do so. And so I encourage folks that so-called first generation Americans, right? Your parents are immigrants to this country. I would say, take a look at that, see what it would cost and see what it would take to be able to get a second citizenship from your parents' home country, okay? For me, it was relatively cheap, right? It was like a $400 application fee to be able to get that second citizenship started. And this is something that for folks who don't have that option, these people would have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to get that second citizenship. And for me, via descent, it's only costing me about $400. So it's a no-brainer for me to go ahead and work on getting that. To prepare for this depression, I'm also, it's going to sound like a broken record, but gold, silver. I want to be able to, over time, continue to build my gold and silver position, such that I have a healthy amount should I choose to, and should the opportunity present itself to invest in stocks or invest in real estate. Buy when there's, as you've heard, buy when there's blood in the street. You think there's going to be blood in the streets during a depression? Absolutely, right? And we want to be prepared with gold, silver. We want to be prepared with, again, some amount of cash, Whatever that means to you, I'm not saying you have to be very heavy into cash, but whatever that means for you, you have to figure that piece out. And then again, staying consistent with the garden, one of the things we're doing is we're looking at taking that garden more towards having a farm, okay? Obviously, with a garden, you have fruits and vegetables. With a farm, you start to add in some animals, some chickens, some goats, some rabbits, some different things like that. So, and with that, there needs to be an infrastructure. So we've been talking about a cistern to be able to collect rainwater, to be able to feed the garden as well as feed the animals, right? To be able to have some sustenance there. Again, that all takes time. That all takes planning. That's why I felt it was best to put this presentation together in this format and hopefully structure it in your mind, you know, as something that's a little more tangible, something you can break down for yourself. Hopefully this plan is something that you don't feel is overwhelming, and hopefully it's something that you feel you can accomplish in bite-sized pieces, right? This is not something you should take on all at once. It's very daunting. Hopefully this helps the way we've broken it down here. If you have any different ideas, please share that in the comments below. I want to hear about them. If you have any questions, I want to hear about those as well so I can respond, right? But my goal is to create a community here where we're sharing these different ideas amongst each other, right? So that we're helping each other. And if you like this video and you want to see more kind of like on this topic, please give us a like. You know, it helps the algorithm on YouTube kind of get it out to more people and try to help more people out there. And so now on to the special announcement. So next week, we have scheduled Jason Hartman to join us on Dirty Boots Capital, and we're going to do an interview with him. Now, if you don't know Jason, he has a YouTube channel. He is a whiz when it comes to real estate. He is a whiz when it comes to macroeconomics, demographics. He just knows so many different aspects of what plays into real estate and what's happening in the economy and how to look at things differently. He definitely helps me personally see things more clearly, take the gudge out of the, you know, out of the thought process and out of what's happening out there. So he's going to be joining us next week. In preparation for that, if you have any questions around real estate that you want him to answer, please, again, put them in the comments field below, because what I want to do is be able to collect all of those questions for Jason and ask him those questions when he's on the channel next week, so that you can get answers to your questions, okay? Real estate may be part of your plan B, right? To be able to create residual income, right? To put a accessory dwelling unit onto your home so you could create an apartment to rent out to a tenant, right? To be able to get some residual income each month. If you have some questions there, put it in the comments field. That's why we're here. We want to help you guys, right? We want to be able to, again, create this community. So that's the special announcement. We're going to have Jason next week, and we are super excited about that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.